What's up, NIRSA family? Welcome back. As you can see, I came dressed to work in my stripes today because I'm really excited to introduce to you two awesome NIRSA Champ family members and NIRSA members as well. I introduced them a little bit in the article above, so we'll dive right into talking to Flick and to Kelsey with questions. So Flick, you got the first down question, okay? Tell me a little bit about the championship series overall in terms of who can play, who can volunteer, and how has it evolved over the years since your time beginning back at the Ohio State University?
Well, first of all, Tony, I really appreciate you having me on Around the Horn. It's my first experience, longtime fan. However, I will address the question that you have put forth. So basically the NIRSA Championship Series is what we've done with the Championship Series is we offer a lot of organized extramural events, tournaments, and sports programs for students and professionals to participate in. You can participate in them in a regional level. You can participate in them in a national level as well. Our participants are usually students, and they are all from all different institutions all over the United States and all over. We have had students come down from Canada. We've had teams come from Mexico as well. So we are pretty inclusive in terms of who we'll bring in as well. The people that help out at the tournaments as well are students and professionals within either the host institution or volunteers that come from other institutions as well. So if you have an interest in volunteering, and we'll talk about this a little later too as well, you can apply to volunteer at any of these events for the NIRSA Championship Series. The NIRSA Championship Series is pretty unique in that we offer it on a platform of professional development for students and full-time employees as well, full-time professionals. What we do at the NIRSA Championship Series events is we offer these volunteer experiences so that you can work on different skill sets or pick up different skills as well as you're working in the series. So if you are looking to work in operations or looking to improve your officiating, if you're looking to work with all tournament or director of competition, if you want to work with those individuals as well, there's opportunities for everybody to get in within the championship series, either as an official or as a volunteer, and work on some of those skills that can be applicable to the job that you have back on your campus. Nice thing about this series too as well is any skills that you pick up there, anything that you work on is almost completely applicable to your job back on your campus. So if you are a student official, for example, and you want to work on your officiating at this level, you can certainly do that and then bring that back to your campus and help make your officiating on campus better. So you can assist with trainings then, and then along with assisting with trainings, you pick up the skills of conflict resolution, picking up skills of deductive reasoning, and how to make quick decisions on the fly with information you have. Those are skills that are highly valuable outside of not just the tournament, but within your job and outside of your job too in life. So we have a lot to offer, especially for participants and students and professional volunteers. Over the years, in terms of evolution, boy, the first time I ever did a NIRSA Championship Series, it wasn't even called the NIRSA Championship Series then. Back when the year began with a 1 instead of a 2, that's when I got my start in the championship series, or then NIRSA, and then it's evolved its name over the years. But the evolution I've seen is we had something great in the beginning and started with it, and then we realized what we could offer in terms of valuable experience to our participants, to our students, and to our professionals that worked within campus recreation and within our universities and institutions. So it slowly began to evolve in terms of getting a championship series committee. So there's a committee now that didn't exist before, but now exists to help improve the NIRSA Championship Series. And it's not just committees in terms of, all right, we've got a head of tennis or we've got a committee chair for flag football. There are other positions within that committee as well, such as standards and competition, brand management, which I'm the chair of. There's assessment, and there's professional student development as well, just to name a couple of those. So NIRSA has really seen the value in terms of what the championship series can bring, and they have worked very hard to make sure that there's a committee that is involved with the constant improvement of the championship series. And back in the day, we looked at a lot of models, took in a lot of things that we seen from like professional sports, the NCAA, things like that, and we were kind of behind the curve. And now, if you take a look at us, there's a lot of things we are beyond the curve in, and some things that other models are looking at us now and saying, "Wow, they've done a really good job. They've really done some great assessment with that." One thing I really want to tout is our transgender policy for participation. If you take a look at the NCAA, they're nowhere close or near what we have in terms of a transgender policy for participation. So now in where we used to be behind the curve and learning from others are learning from us on how to work with participants and how to work with students to put out a better quality product as well. Also, with the championship series and over time, people have often said, well, what's the backing on this? Why is this so valuable? Why do people think this is so valuable? We know it's valuable for those of us who participated in it, but we really haven't had an opportunity to buy that or to qualify that. And now that's not the case anymore. We actually do have, if you check out the Rec Sports Journal, Volume 40, and take a look at one of the first articles. It is an article done by Dr. Jacob Tingle, Dan Hazlett, and April Flint about the value of the championship series and what that brings to professionals and students that work with that. And what they found is there is value within this championship series. And it's not just for students and staff as well. It's for, or excuse me, students and professionals. It's for participants as well. Participants also get something from this as well. They learn the values of organization, of communication, of sportsmanship. We have a tagline, and I'll say the tagline fairly frequently. It's more than just competition. We don't just go out there. We don't just roll a ball out there and say, go play. We are purposeful in what we do, and that purpose is to whomever goes and participates in the championship series, they get something from it, and they get something of value to them.
That's great. Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Is it is more than just a competition. So you took it from me. That's great. And Woody, I would be giving you a lot of points down there at the bottom. If
I was waiting for the points to come up, but they never came up. So I'm going to say I'm at 10.
Okay, we'll give you 10. Kelsey, to bring you into this, tell me a little bit about how you got involved in the series and what it's done for you leading up to being a graduate assistant at Florida and also being the Region 2 student leader.
For sure. So I first got involved with the championship series when I was a junior in my undergrad at the University of Central Florida. I knew that we had student officials that would go to various regional tournaments. I didn't really understand what they were. I was prompted with the opportunity to go to Western Kentucky with their regional flag football tournament, Battle of the Bluegrass. And they told me, hey, we're going to fly you out, you and one other official, and you're going to go and officiate flag football. And I was like, all right, I've never been to Kentucky. Like, I like wearing stripes. Sounds good to me. So I put on some stripes, went out to Kentucky, and froze because I'm from Florida, and it was very, very cold. That was my first ever regional tournament, and I haven't looked back. In that same year, I actually got a bid from that tournament and got to travel to Pensacola for the National Flag Football Tournament. And then in the spring of that year, my junior year, I went to the University of Georgia for a regional basketball tournament and then got a bid to the National Basketball Tournament, and then did that all over again my senior year. So in total, I traveled to 4 regional flag football regional tournaments, and then a total of 4 national tournaments. So 8 tournaments altogether as a student official. And it has just become so full circle for me. And I'll get a little bit into that later on a different question. But how it's developed me into a professional and the person that I am today, again, like it is just so full circle. I've met people my junior year when I first went to Battle of the Bluegrass that I still am connected with today. Sean Sherwood, he's out at Western Kentucky. He was the one who invited me to come out and officiate. Just this year, I got to go back as an evaluator. So it's really just completely opening up your network and building your network within NIRSA and within the championship series. So it's been an incredible experience for me. It's allowed me to work really on my professionalism skills, that it's constantly growing, constantly getting better in terms of speaking with students and speaking with professionals around the nation. You kind of feel like you're in this little bubble when you're within NIRSA and you're in this state all the way in the southeast and you're just stuck in Florida, but then you have these opportunities to go to other places. And then from there, the opportunities are endless. And now I'm connected with people out in Seattle and California and Massachusetts, which I would never really even guess that I'd have those opportunities. And really, I do, I center all back to the championship series. So through observation and conversations that I've had with people throughout this experience and this journey, I was able to pick up on a lot of the isms of NIRSA, if you will. By isms, I mean the do's and the don'ts, how to present yourself. One of my favorite quotes, and my boss would probably be like, no, not true, but silence cannot be misquoted. And he would say not true because I'm somebody who, I don't like silence. I want everybody to be my friend. I could be friends with this wall behind me. So sometimes it's hard for me to really remember it's okay not to talk, Kelsey. Like, you don't have to have an opinion. And it's really important to remember that as an up and coming professional, because there are times that you might want to say something, you might want to speak a thought that you have, but really silence cannot be misquoted. And if that's something that you can remember as a student, whether you're becoming a graduate assistant or an assistant becoming a professional, that would be something that I would harp on, whether you're an official and you're in championship series or not. So now as a graduate assistant, being able to travel to tournaments as an evaluator, I've been able to really work on my teaching skills. I always tell people that being a part of the championship series and being involved in competitive sports has been an opportunity for me to combine 2 of my passions, which are officiating and teaching. So really being able to work on my teaching skills. There's so many transferable skills, being an official, being an evaluator, going and being on all tournament staff, and being out there with the participants and the players and other officials. And really those transferable skills come down to, in my opinion, communication, conflict management, dedication, follow through, and continuous education. And so with all those transferable skills, just from a student official to a graduate assistant, I've now been able to see where those will help me succeed moving into a professional role next year. So just thinking about how that has really helped me become who I am to both professionally and personally, the opportunities are absolutely endless. And I really do dedicate it all back to the championship series and that first little tournament I went to in Western Kentucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you talk about those transferable skills just from our opportunity to work together. It's been great to see your facilitation skills and being able to manage and handle difficult conversations. I think those are a couple more that you could add to the list too. Quick, going to third down here. Kelsey talked a lot about events that she's been to over the course of her time being involved as a member. Let's talk about this year specifically. What are some of the Champ Series tournaments that you've been to? How have they gone? What's been good about them?
Well, to quote Johnny Cash, who was also quoted by Brooke Turner in her blog post just recently for the NIRSA Championship Series, I've been everywhere, man. So this past year, calendar year, I've had the distinct privilege and opportunity to work the national basketball, flag football, and soccer championships. Haven't touched all the bases yet. I'd love to get out to tennis at some point and work that, and we'll be working on that one. But over the years and particularly this year, I've gone to a lot of regional and national tournaments, and they all have the same thing in common. They're all run extremely well. They have some of the best individuals running the different aspects of the tournament, whether it's operations, officials committee, if applicable, director of competition, all tournament staff. Every individual that pitches in and helps out makes the tournament that much better. Over the years, I have not gotten out to a soccer regional or a soccer national tournament. I've been pretty much flag football, and I've been pretty much basketball. And this year, in the beginning, I challenged myself and said, well, you always preach or always talk about, going out of your comfort zone and growing. And this was an opportunity to do so. I've not worked soccer. I know very little about soccer other than I can't use my hands unless I'm that guy in front of the net, in which case I can wear gloves, and that's fantastic. I do like the gloves. So I wear them sometimes in the office just because. So I had an opportunity to go and work the Region 1 soccer tournament, and particularly the national soccer tournament this year down in Foley, Alabama at the Foley Sports Complex. And it was an absolutely amazing experience. I've worked the National Championship Series for basketball and for flag football for years now, and they are a wonderful experience in and of themselves. But each tournament, each regional, each national has kind of its own personality, and you always take something away from it. And this year, when I went to the national soccer tournament, I really got to see what the NIRSA family looks like when it operates and fires on all cylinders. The directors of competition, the tournament directors, the operations committee, the field marshals, the individuals that worked with me in brand management, when we all worked together and worked in such a way where we had very little, if any, issues, that's a feat onto itself. Like, to go out and to work so efficiently that we saw very little, if any, issues, that's amazing. To do that and to have individuals that watch the tournament through NIRSA or were there as fans supporting their teams, with 96 teams, that's incredible. And to have those individuals come back and say, you know what, you guys are the ultimate, you were the consummate professionals. You handled everything brilliantly. If there was ever an issue, you took care of it immediately. Your customer service was almost impeccable. It was remarkable to have the to have the Foley Sports Complex staff come back and say, we will work with you eight days a week easily because of the job you put forth, because of the communication that you had with us and amongst yourselves. That is really amazing to see. Another thing that's amazing to see is how dedicated a lot of these professionals are to these tournaments. One professional in particular I'm going to highlight is Doug Ewing, who is at Fort Lewis College. Doug has been doing this national tournament for years and years and years. And this was Doug's last tournament. Doug is stepping down to allow others to step in. And the contributions that Doug and his predecessors and current individuals have on this tournament has been more than just remarkable. It's to a point where people come back and say, Doug, because of you, X, Y, Z. Doug, because of this, I am now able to accomplish this. Or Doug, just thank you for imparting knowledge on us. And to have that kind of atmosphere, to have that those kind of individuals present at a tournament or even within NIRSA is a blessing. So to have individuals like that at a tournament to step in and say, I didn't know what to expect when I first, it always seems like the same thing I said, I didn't know what to expect when I stepped into this role. And now here it is. It seems like years and years later, and to hear the feedback I have gotten from my colleagues, from my peers, and from students and other professionals, it's mind-blowing. And to be able to do that, I can only imagine how Doug felt when people expressed all this stuff, all what he's meant to the tournament and to them. That's an awesome thing to experience and see. And I was really, really happy to be a part of that and to see that as an outside observer. It's something you see that and say, you know what, I really hope that one day a student or another professional approaches me and says, hey, I really appreciated the work you did over the years, and I've tried to make it a point now myself to come out and say that to other individuals too. Say, hey, what I saw today or what I saw, over the years, what you've really done, that's special, and that means a lot, not just to me, but to other people who are involved with that. And it's that kind of precision and that kind of care is what really makes the NIRSA Championship Series stand out. And particularly at the National Soccer Championship this year, seeing that happen really stood out to me. And I am very thankful and gracious for the opportunity to go out and to see Mr. Ewing work, and to see all the other NIRSA individuals go out there and work their tails off to put on one of the best tournaments I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like a great legacy with Mr. Ewing as well. And I know you all left a great legacy on the NIRSA Champ Twitter page by tweeting almost 1,000 tweets about the tournament itself, and that's why I was able to be able to follow so effectively and have a great time with it. So
1,011, but I lost count.
Who's counting, right? Oh man. Kelsey, 4th down, we're handing the ball off to you. Tell me about the year in review for you. What's been some favorite tournaments for you?
For sure. So we do have basketball coming up in the spring. So far this past semester for the fall, I was able to travel to Western Kentucky, as I spoke about earlier. And one of my favorite things about that tournament, as I talked about, was my junior year when I first went to my first ever regional flag football tournament, being able to get my bid there, and then now have it full circle. This was my 2nd year serving as an evaluator, and I love it every single time. Good old Mr. John Adams and I will put on our little ski masks, and you can only see our eyes because it gets so cold up there, and it hurts my little heart, but it's fine. But again, just really being able to give back to the championship series is what it's all about for me, and that is continuously one of my favorite parts about what I do as a graduate assistant, and then next year moving into a professional role. However, I did get a really awesome opportunity, and Flick is talking about watching all these members of this institution carry out a legacy and really run a phenomenal tournament. And so I was able to have the opportunity to try to reach that and run a phenomenal tournament. And I was the tournament director this last year for University of Florida's regional flag football tournament called Swamp Bowl. And for me, as a 2nd year graduate assistant, I continuously tell people that has probably been the most impactful experience that I've had thus far as a graduate assistant. And I think really is going to help me move on to where I hope to be. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had, because as an official, moving into an evaluator, you see the tournament, you see how it's run, but you don't actually see the ins and outs. You don't see that it starts being planned from 4 months out from the tournament. And really being able to watch that tournament from a 30,000 foot view versus a 5,000, 10,000 foot view where food is put in front of you, you're being told exactly where to go, to actually being the person who you have to get the food. You have to put a team together who's going to go and get the food for everybody. You have to be the one that's putting together the schedule, sending it out to committee members, officials, players, your staff, like ins and outs. And I really think that experience, number one, really, really made me appreciate everything that is done from an official standpoint to a staff standpoint to a player standpoint. And then number two, it was such a rewarding experience. I did an assessment on it following, and there were obviously gaps and things that we can improve. There's always something that you can do better with a tournament, but really being able to see the satisfaction from across the board, participants, staff members, officials, and really seeing that 100% of our officials that responded and staff that responded said that they would come back to Swamp Bowl was just such a rewarding thing to hear. And that really has just been such a great experience for me as a person. And then beyond it, looking at my staff, because I could not say thank you to the University of Florida enough for how much they did for me, and they allowed me to grow, and they challenged me, and they helped me learn. And so really, when you travel to those tournaments and you have a blast, I say thank you one more time as you're heading out the gates, because it means so much to the staff. Just a little thank you. We had a great time. It was everything that we wanted, but that was definitely the most rewarding experience I've had as graduate assistant, and probably my favorite part of this past semester going into now spring in basketball. That's awesome. Great answers. I'll give you a touchdown. And I would even give you a celebration of this. Give you a little gator chomp. Right over left, right over left. Not an excessive celebration penalty either. I hope not. But with that, let's go for two, actually. I want to ask both of you guys very quickly as you can, what is some advice you have for students that may be watching this video for ways that they can get involved with the series as we move forward?
I yield to Kelsey to go first.
All right, cool. I'll make it short and sweet. If you're wanting to get involved, work hard. Like, definitely work hard. Talk to your professional staff members around you, and I think that Flick is going to talk a little bit more about that. So I'm just going to say work hard and learn from the other people around you, whether it's your professional staff, a student official that you look up to, somebody that you do go to the championship series and you meet. You're like, hey, I really like the way that they work. Talk to them, learn from them. It's all a communication and networking experience. And don't be afraid to ask questions if you don't understand something. You're not going to learn unless you ask and you figure out really what you want to get out of that experience. And then finally, if you are asking these questions and you're showing that you want to get better, then you have I would dare to say you have a better chance at going to a tournament. And then the best part about that is once you get to that tournament and you're asking these questions and you're working hard and you're learning from others, make sure that you come back and you implement it back on your campus, because you're probably being sent out with an expectation of you're going to bring something back. So make sure that you are gaining the most out of that experience to bring back to your institution, that put in the time and the effort to send you out and bring it back so it's full circle, and then you're able to teach those officials that are maybe your age, older than you, younger than you, and you're always building and making that program better for your institution.
Suppose that makes it my turn. So the one thing I want to express first is to talk to your professional staff first and tell them that you have an interest in working in it. Sometimes if you don't know the direction you want to go, they're the best people to talk to. So they might have had an experience with the championship series, and they might tell you or point you in a direction that you want to go. Number two, take the plunge and actually do it. So get on play.nirsa.net and take a look at the opportunities that are available this semester or this upcoming year, beginning in 2017. I believe the basketball and tennis applications are still open. So get out there, well, at least at this point when we're doing it, they may not be open now, but in the next coming year. So when flag football rolls back around, when soccer rolls back around, and when basketball and tennis come up the next year, apply. So get on play.nirsa.net, explore the website, see what it has to offer, and then take that plunge and apply. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So if you don't take that shot, you're never going to get that opportunity. And for some individuals, look for something that isn't necessarily in your wheelhouse. Some of the best ways or some of the best things I've ever learned is taking that opportunity. For years and 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 years, I was on the officials committee and had constantly done officials committee. Whenever I applied, officials committee. What do you want to do, Flick? I'm going to be on the officials committee this year. Maybe I'll even take a stab at being on the officials committee. And then a couple years ago, I went to a tournament and started live tweeting a tournament, and found I had joy in that. It was a lot of fun, kind of just being a reporter. And then I got onto the social media side and the brand management side of working a tournament, and I found a new love. And now when I go to a tournament, I don't necessarily have to be focused on working the officials committee. If they've got a social media aspect, I want to go and do that. So don't limit yourself to just one thing. Be open to other opportunities and take that. If you get an opportunity and you get out to a NIRSA regional or national championship series event, own the experience. It's there for a purpose. You are there for a purpose. The host institution and the professionals around you will give you an experience you will never forget. It's your job to go and own it. So if you go and do the minimum, what you're going to get from the experience is the minimum. If you go out and absolutely knock it out of the park and own the thing, you will be amazed at how many things you will learn, the kind of discussions you will have with other professionals, and the kind of network you will begin to make for yourself. And I'm going to reflect back on Kelsey. Kelsey, when she came out, and I've seen Kelsey grow over the years, you know, from an outside point of view looking in, over the years, Kelsey has made a humongous network for herself and has worked extremely hard. And now she is an extremely successful GA who is going to be an extremely successful professional once she gets that opportunity. And it's because of the work she owned when she got the opportunity to go to a championship series event. So own the experience, go out, make the most of it. And if you do, nothing but good things will come your way.
That's great. When you get talking about brand management and brand awareness, you start speaking my language a little bit. So what would be one of these videos without a call to action? I'll go back to you, Flick, for a little bit of that brand management piece for the series. So give me your call to action here before we go.
All right, my call to action, and this is okay with the FCC. We've got this all squared away. I used to be a radio DJ, in case you didn't know, 2 years.
Nice.
I was terrible, but that's okay. So I have a face for radio. So if you are interested in following the NIRSA Championship Series, number one, I would say go to play.nirsa.net and take a look at the Championship Series and what involvements there are with the Championship Series, what we offer, our policies, and a lot of the different aspects that we have out there. We're also on social media as well. If you follow us on Twitter, which is @NIRSA Champ, and it's the same handle on Instagram, NIRSA Champ, there's an opportunity to see information, different national events, different regional events that we'll retweet as well. So you'll get more information there as well, but you'll just get it in 140 characters on Twitter versus much more on the website. And on our Instagram account, NIRSA Champ, we like to get photographs and kind of take clips or, freeze frame moments of the championship series as it's happening. So it's also a nice place to get information, but we like to reserve that for opportunities when we go out and actually are at championship series events and kind of get the whole story on what's going on at the championship series event on that side.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for being with me today. I really enjoyed this, getting to learn a lot more about the series itself too. So with that, I would say, I've enjoyed realizing that the Champ Series is more than a competition. So I really appreciate you all being with me today. And with that, I'll leave it at peace, love, and NIRSA.
Bye, Will. Thanks, Will. Bye, Blake.
Peace, love, and NIRSA. Take it easy, Kelsey.